What if the fight with food could actually end? Not through more willpower, not through another diet, not through eliminating all the various foods you really enjoy, but through understanding what's really happening underneath. Today, we're talking about how to stop fighting food and how to become a peaceful eater, and why that might actually be more possible than you think. Welcome to Binge Eating Breakthrough, the podcast to help you stop feeling out of control around food and build trust with your body. If you've tried everything but still feel stuck, you're not alone. I've been there too. I'm Jane Pilger, and I'm here to help you see binge eating in a new way so you can finally break free. Each week, you'll get the tools and insights to create peace with food and your body. Your breakthrough starts now. Hello, trusted listener. I consider you a trusted listener because I trust that you're here for a reason. Maybe something about your relationship with food feels kind of hard right now. Or maybe you listen to this podcast as a way to remind yourself of the peaceful eater you want to be, to understand what's possible and get closer and closer to it every day. Wherever you are on your journey, I trust that you're ready to hear about a different way to look at your relationship with food. So today I'm going to talk with you about what it means to stop fighting food and how to become a peaceful eater. Now, this isn't because I have some magic solution that makes everything easy overnight, but because I've seen this transformation happen in my own life and in the lives of hundreds of people I've worked with. This transformation from fighting food to becoming a peaceful eater. And I want you to know that it's possible for you too. So let's start with this question. What does your fight with food look like? Maybe it's the internal battle every time you're deciding what to eat. Should I have this? I shouldn't have that. I already had too much today. I'll start fresh tomorrow. Maybe it's the fight that happens after you've eaten something you told yourself you wouldn't. The criticism, the shame, the harsh words you would never say to someone that you love. Or maybe it's the constant mental energy that you spend thinking about food, what you ate, what you're going to eat, what you wish you hadn't eaten, the planning, the bargaining, the rules. Or maybe it's the fight between different parts of yourself. The part that wants to enjoy food freely and the part that's terrified of what might happen if you do. The part that's exhausted from trying so hard, and the part that won't let you give up. So if any of this resonates, I want you to know you are not broken. This fight makes sense. And there's a way through it, a way to the other side of it that doesn't involve fighting harder. And just that alone is like, even as I say it, I can feel relief in my own nervous system. You don't have to fight harder to get to the other side of this. Because here's what I've learned over 25 years of my own struggle with binge eating, and now years of coaching others through their struggles. The more you fight food, the bigger the fight gets. One of my favorite sayings is what you focus on expands. If you focus on the fight, you focus on how hard it is, it's going to get bigger. When you're in that fight mode with food, your brain interprets this as threat. Your nervous system activates. Your amygdala, that survival part of your brain, starts scanning for danger. It's actually always scanning for danger, but it sees the food piece as a threat. And when your brain thinks that you're in danger, it doesn't have access to the logical, reasoning part of your brain that can help you make calm, connected decisions. And this is why willpower doesn't work long term. You can white knuckle your way through for a while, but you can't sustain a fight indefinitely. Eventually, your nervous system crashes, your amygdala takes over, and you find yourself doing the very thing you were fighting against, the very thing you were trying not to do. And then comes the real fight, the fight with yourself, the criticism, the shame, the judgment. I'm broken. I will never figure this out. Why do I keep doing this to myself? I promised I wouldn't do this again. So one of the things that I really like to talk about when I'm talking with clients is considering what perspective are you bringing to your relationship with food? So we can think of it like a pair of glasses. Are you looking at yourself and your eating, your relationship with food through fear glasses or love glasses? The lens that you are looking through changes everything. So after learning about this concept, one person that I worked with said, I realized I've been wearing fear glasses when I look at myself and my eating. Every decision, every bite, every moment, I'm looking through fear. So what about you? Are you looking at your relationship with food, yourself, your body, through the lens of fear? What would it be like to take off those fear glasses? What would it be like to stop fighting and start finding peace? So what is a peaceful eater anyway? You might be wondering if you have not experienced this for yourself, either ever or in any amount of recent memory. So when I talk about becoming a peaceful eater, I want to be clear. I am not talking about perfection. I am not talking about never struggling with food or never having moments of difficulty with food or finding yourself eating more food than you planned or you might prefer sometimes. A peaceful eater is someone who is calm, connected, and confident with food. Calm means you are not in constant battle mode. You aren't just living and looking through those fear glasses all the time. Your nervous system isn't activated every time you think about eating. Food isn't an emergency that requires immediate action or intense restriction. Connected means you're tuned into your body, your emotions, your actual needs. You can tell the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger. You can feel your feelings without immediately reaching for food to make them go away. You have other resources, other tools, other ways to handle those challenging moments. Confident means you trust yourself. You trust you can navigate challenging situations. You trust that a difficult moment with food does not define you. You trust that you're learning and you're growing even when it doesn't feel perfect. This is not about achieving some ideal version of yourself. It's about coming home to yourself. It's about being able to sit at a table with food and not have it consume all your mental energy. It's about being able to enjoy a meal, to go to a restaurant, to go out with friends, to go to a party without a running commentary of criticism, anxiety, fear, or worry in your head. So you might be asking, how do you get there? How do you go from fighting food to becoming a peaceful eater? It starts with understanding that binge eating or overeating or emotional eating or whatever pattern you are currently stuck in isn't the problem. It's the symptom. It's that light on the dashboard that tells us something is going on under the hood. When you focus on the food, when you try to control the eating, when you fight the urges, you're treating the symptom. Treating the symptom never resolves the root cause. It's like you're trying to just put duct tape over the dashboard so you don't see the lights that are coming on. But we've got to get under the hood to see what is the root cause, what's making these lights come on in the first place. So the root cause is usually one or more of these 8 things: shame and judgment, restriction, a dysregulated nervous system, disconnection from your body, using food as a coping mechanism, attempting to control, habit, or negative self-talk. These 8 reasons are typically the root cause. And each of these 8 reasons has a specific solution. And I promise you, none of those solutions involve fighting harder or having more willpower. So here's an example. Somebody I worked with recently, she said, I find myself just eating something somewhat innocently, like yesterday when I ate some of my kids' leftover pizza. She said, I feel wrong doing this because I feel like I should be sitting down for food and also not eating pizza because my brain sees it as bad food. From that, my nervous system gets dysregulated and I feel really overwhelmed. Then I end up in a full binge. So do you see what's happening there? The fight started the moment she labeled that pizza as bad food and told herself she should be doing something different. She also labeled herself as bad in standing up and eating. This activated her nervous system, and that sense of having done something wrong created shame. And shame is one of the number 1 drivers of binge eating. Now, I don't know enough about the specific situation to know if restriction was happening here too. There could be other things also happening. But the solution here isn't to fight harder against eating pizza. It's not to just stop eating pizza for the rest of your life, or to think that you just can't control yourself around pizza, or that your kid's food is the problem. The solution is to understand why her nervous system got activated, to remove the judgment around food, to get curious about what she actually needed in that moment, and to give her some other tools, resources, ways to respond to her nervous system that don't involve food. This is the shift. It's from fighting to understanding, from judgment to curiosity, from shame to compassion. And when we can get to understanding and curiosity and compassion, now we're wearing those love glasses. We're looking at ourselves through a different lens and a different perspective. And from there, we can make a different choice. If we keep those fear glasses on and we're in shame and judgment and criticism, we will stay in the same patterns that we've been in. So this is the shift, shifting to understanding, to curiosity, to compassion. So learning about it is one thing. You can listen to this podcast and be like, yes, this makes sense. But actually putting these concepts into practice is something different entirely. And this is why I put together the Binge Eating Breakthrough book experience. So last fall, I led the second round of this experience. It's a 7-week program where we work through my book. My book is called The Binge Eating Breakthrough, same name as this podcast. And we go through this book together as a group. We meet every week and we go through the concepts. People ask questions. They get support through the process. And the response to the first 2 rounds was so powerful that I'm offering it again. So this is going to be the third time, and I'm bringing it back because I've heard from so many people about the difference that it made for them. It's so funny because I initially put this book experience together and I thought, I'm just going to do this once. It will be, when the book first came out, I'll do the book experience, one-time deal. But it was so powerful for the people involved, and I really enjoyed delivering it that I thought, why not do it again? So that's what we're going to do. Some people have even joined multiple rounds because each time through the material, they gain new insights and they go deeper in their understanding. They were able to hear new things the second time that they weren't in a place to truly grasp the first time. This work is like layered. We're always peeling back one layer at a time. So one participant in the book experience, her name is Jessica. She wrote to me the day after our first call in the last round. She said, it was the first time I ever recall contemplating that I might be able to stop binging and have it not be a part of my life. This thought also didn't feel scary or like some far off wish. It felt attainable. That shift from this will always be part of my life to this is actually attainable. That is the beginning of peace. Another participant, Camille, she's shared, I just want to take a moment to say how much I appreciate both the book and the book club. When you share your personal experiences, I find so many elements that resonate deeply with me. It's truly helping me understand myself better and cultivate more self-compassion. Understanding yourself, self-compassion, these are the building blocks of becoming a peaceful eater. So during our time together in the last round of the book experience, I watched people have breakthrough after breakthrough. One person discovered her binge eating made perfect sense when she understood how her nervous system was responding to stress. Another person realized she had been using criticism to motivate herself for decades. What she actually needed was kindness. And someone else had the revelation that limits and restrictions are not the same thing. And that distinction completely changed how she approached food. We had an entire call talking about restriction. And it was so powerful. By our last session in the last round, one participant said, I started this from a very dark place, and I definitely see some light now. These people were not fighting harder. They stopped fighting and they started understanding themselves. Now, another thing that can help people give up the fight and shift towards understanding is the power of community. Because here's what happens a lot is trying to do this work alone keeps you stuck. It makes sense because there's so much shame and there's so much judgment that we don't want anybody else to see ourselves in this dark place. But when you are in the middle of your own struggle, it's really hard to see clearly. It's hard to separate the truth from the stories that your brain is telling you. It's hard to believe that change is possible when you are the only one you know who's dealing with this, or when you don't have anybody to talk to or tell. I remember there was such a long period of time I would not talk to anybody about my struggles. There was so much shame. But here's what happens when you get into a room, even a virtual one, with other people who understand. When you hear someone else describe exactly what you've been experiencing, and you watch someone else and you have a breakthrough and you think, hey, maybe that's possible for me too. That changes everything. Even if you are in a place where you're like, oh no, I would not get into a Zoom room with other people. I don't want other people to see me. Guess what? Replace. You can still hear people. You can hear stories without in a way that it really is safe for you. So one participant, she put it beautifully. She said, the power of community is why she joined. Another one said she was there for accountability to actually read the book and be in a supportive environment while doing so. Because here's the truth about books, and I say this as someone who has written a book and has read a lot of them. You can read a book, you can nod along with every insight, highlight every important passage, and then put it on the shelf. It becomes shelf help instead of real help. So the difference between reading about change and actually changing is what happens next. It's the questions that you ask. It's the support you get when you're stuck. It's the accountability to keep showing up. It's hearing from someone who's a few steps ahead of you that, yes, it gets better. So what actually creates the shift from fighting food to becoming a peaceful eater? It's not just information. I am confident that you have read plenty of books, listened to many podcasts, consumed all kinds of content about food and eating. And information is important, but it's not enough on its own. It's also not just willpower. I am sure you've tried that too. I am sure you've tried to force yourself to do better, to be better, to have more control, to just make a plan and follow it. And it works for a while until it doesn't. So what creates lasting change is understanding combined with practice, supported by connection. Understanding, knowing why you do what you do, how your brain works, and what your patterns mean. Practice, trying new things, experimenting with different approaches, building new neural pathways over time. And connection to yourself, to your body, to others who get it, to someone who can guide you through the places where you feel stuck. And this is why the book experience I created is structured the way that it is. 7 weeks. We meet together every week going through the book chapter by chapter. Not just reading it and hoping for the best, but actively engaging with the material, asking questions, getting personalized support, connecting with others on the same journey, and taking this work and applying it in your own life. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I want that. I want to stop fighting food and I want to become a peaceful eater. I want you to know that it's possible. I'm hosting another round of the book experience starting on February 17th. 7 weeks, meeting live on Zoom every Tuesday, except the last week in March. We're going to take that week off. We'll work through the Binge Eating Breakthrough book together. The foundations, understanding your brain and your story, building connection with your body and emotions, developing compassion for yourself, creating confidence and resilience, and learning how to navigate food choices without restriction. This isn't a book club where we just discuss interesting ideas. It's a transformative experience where you get structured guidance, personalized support, and a community of people who truly understand what you're going through. So you're going to get, for $49, you're going to get all 7 live calls, access to the recordings if you can't attend live, the ability to ask questions, get real answers specific to your situation, and a community of support. And if you're someone who likes to go all in, there's also a VIP option. It includes 2 additional Q&A sessions. During the weeks, we go deep into nervous system work and food choices. And you get a private 25-minute coaching session with me to address your specific challenges and create a personalized roadmap for what you need on your journey with food. Now, if you're thinking, I don't have time to read a book right now, no, this is a reading optional book experience. I go over the key concepts in the book, so even if you don't read any of it, you will still gain so much wisdom, guidance, and support through the calls themselves. There's a link in the show notes where you can find all of the details and sign up. And if you happen to be listening to this episode after February 17th, but it's before April 30th of 2026, you can still join and just catch up on the replays. All of the replays will be available through April 30th. so you won't miss out even if you join the experience partway through. Now, if you're listening to this after April 30th, 2026, you can still order the book and the companion workbook and go through it on your own or with a friend. The book is available on Amazon, and the workbook provides guided exercise to help you apply everything that you're learning. Now, even if you don't join the book experience, here's what I want to leave you with. The fight with food can end. Not because you finally develop enough willpower, not because you find the perfect diet, not because you become a different person. It can end because you start to understand yourself, because you learn to respond to yourself with compassion instead of criticism, because you discover that your eating patterns, no matter how chaotic they feel, make sense when you look at what's happening underneath the hood. You're not broken. You are having a completely understandable response to everything you've experienced. Your history, your beliefs about food in your body, your nervous system's attempts to keep you safe, your brain's drive to seek pleasure and avoid pain. And when you can see that clearly, when you can look at yourself through glasses of love instead of fear, everything starts to shift. So start small. Ask yourself, what would it be like if food wasn't a fight? What would it be like to sit down to a meal and just eat without judgment, without shame, without the running commentary of what you should or shouldn't be doing? That is the beginning of peace. And peace is possible for you. If you want support on that journey, I would love to have you join us in the book experience starting on February 17th. And if you're not ready for that, that's okay too. Just keep listening to this podcast. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep believing that change is possible. Because it is. I have seen it happen over and over again. And you deserve that peace too. That's what I have for you today. I'll see you next week. If you're tired of doing this alone and you want support as you work on your relationship with food, the Binge Eating Breakthrough book experience starts on February 17th. It's 7 weeks working through my book together as a group, meeting live on Tuesdays. It's $49, replays are included, and you don't need to have read the book to join. All the details are at janepilger.com/book-experience.